Whatever your issues are you woke up with today, the overwhelm you might have had, the challenges you're looking at, and the opportunities, there were things happening right now. And all problems tend to fall into two categories: easy problems and difficult problems. And the difference between the two is easy problems are the ones that you have time to solve. Like, I need money, but I've got a year to figure it out. As opposed to difficult problems, which is like, I need money like yesterday. You know, what happens is when we actually have no time to actually solve something, it becomes something point blank, which immediately becomes an issue. By actually having a future vision, we're actually spacing out who we are today from our future self. In the same way that you got a past self. There's that person who was there 1 year ago or 5 years ago, and you can see the difference of who you are today compared to who you were. And that difference is called your memory. So we all have a memory of where we were, and especially if we've had bad experiences or things were tough, that memory can often stop us from being able to move forward. But in the same way, we also have a vision. And a vision is not looking backwards, a vision is looking forwards. So there is a future self, which is 1 year in the future, that is 5 years in the future. And have a look and say, who's clearer, the person that I was as my past self, or the person that I will be as my future self? And you'll find that all the most successful people have a really clear vision of who they're going to be as their future self, to the extent that their vision overshadows or lightens up the shadow of their past self. And as a result, every day they wake up with that same vision as well. I'll give you an example. I'm actually filming this from Vision Villas, which is our resort in Bali, where I had the vision of being here at this resort years ago, at times when things were tough, but it lit the way because I said, no, but that's where I'm going. At times when I actually could see opportunities show up, we're going, oh, that helps me to get there. And so as a result, by having that vision, I could direct myself in the right path, and then here I am today. In the same way that at the moment when I was actually videoing this to speak to you, I had a future vision that I'd be speaking to you on my Genius U platform and would have all sorts of incredible people coming on board and connecting with each other, including with me and with you. That wasn't happening when the time I actually recorded this, but that was me having a future vision of where I was going. And in the same way, the more you have a future vision of where you're going, the more you're going to find yourself just naturally flowing towards that and actually making sure all your decisions and all the connections and opportunities you end up taking and the things you decide not to do actually lead towards that as well. So that's what this is all about. The first 5 steps within this little assessment on this mission are about getting deeper into, do I have that clarity of where I'm going? And don't worry about getting it perfect. This is about you giving it your best shot. And then once you've got that first level of clarity, you can say to yourself, all right, what is this on a 0 to 10 scale? Is this like a 5 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10? And you can find ways to fine tune it, just like if you're on a radio station or a TV station, you know, as long as you had the tuning dial and you actually knew what it was to be high definition, you could tune in until you get the best picture you can possibly get. So let's have a look and see what we have here in our assessment and now in our playbook. And you can actually, again, do this, download it, or you can actually do it straight off your screen as well. But you'll see here, under creating your plight plan, there's the first 5 achievements, which are all about your genius and spectrum level, and then all about your future vision. The first one, which is a 1, I have taken the Millionaire Master Plan test. I know my genius, my natural strengths and weaknesses, and my natural path to wealth. If that was low when you scored that one, and it's like, nah, I haven't quite figured that out yet, this is all about explaining about the report, right? The first report that you got was about your genius. So pull that up, read through it. Your genius will give you your natural path. You'll be one of the 4 geniuses. What's your genius? Write down whatever your genius is so you've got that. And then based on the report, what are the top 3 strengths you now know you have? They may not come as a surprise. Some of them you might not have even realized they were a strength. But just write them down there. Take the time to do that. If you need to pause this video and come back, go ahead and do that. Or else just watch your way through and then you can come obviously back to this video anytime as well. But once you've completed those 3, and then based on that report also, what are the top 3 weaknesses, and you put those down, just consider where in your life this has already been showing up and to what extent you can now be doing things with your team or with partners that you're working with, or even in the kind of business you're going to be in or job you're in, where you can actually say, what could I be doing right now to actually improve the amount of time I have focusing on my strengths, and also get support, not to do the things that are my weakness, but actually to have other people support me in those areas where I'm weak, so that you can actually really start getting into your genius. A2, I have taken the Millionaire Master Plan test. I know what level of the wealth spectrum I'm at and what the next steps are that I need to take. Exactly the same steps here. When you go through this, you can just write down what is your spectrum level, and then based on that report, what are the 3 steps that you'd need to do to move to the next level. Just walking through this gives you enough familiarity for you to say, yep, I get that now. And of course, you can go into much more detail as we go, but now it's time to move to our future vision. So your future vision. I have done this every single year of my life since I was in my very early 20s. I think even that back as a teenager, I already had started this because I learned this from other mentors around me who had always looked to say, your future vision is the most important picture you could ever possibly have, because it leads you always towards who you're going to be. And that intention of what you're going to be is so important. Most of us know this, but we don't actually go and document it and write it down and take the time to look at it and say, now that it's out there, is this who I want to be? So here I actually take you through this process. And as you can see here, I go through that step, take out one or more sheets of paper to do this in. You can even do it here within the actual mission as well if you'd like. You can actually do it in a way that you can actually print it out or post it on your bedroom wall so you actually can be using it. Use colors if you're visual. Write it down would be the best way to do it. Take time out to make it happen and imagine it. Now, as you'll see here, and I explain this in the book as well, in the Millionaire Master Plan, one of the most important things is you're not writing this from the bottom of the mountain. You know, it's really difficult to see the route up from the bottom of the mountain. It's actually quite easy from the top of the mountain to see the route up and back down again. So what's important here is to be looking in hindsight, not in foresight, which means instead of saying, what do I like to see happen in the next year, it's imagining yourself now 1 year in the future, writing a journal entry from that date 1 year in the future. So think about 1 year from today. What's the date? And then say, right, if I was going to sit down and actually take a moment to now actually be in that space where I'm 1 year ahead and I'm looking backwards, what would I be writing about what's happened in the last year? And the second thing is, rather than talking about it in terms of achievements and in terms of like goals, talk about it in terms of gratitude, because the power of gratitude is much, much, much stronger than the power of ambition. And this is about knowing that when you're actually already there and you're looking back and you're thankful for that, for having achieved those things, that energy is one that from today onwards, you already can see yourself as that future person that's achieved it. So what that means is the way you're writing this, as you can see here, is you write down the day's date in 1 year from now. And you begin by saying, I'm so grateful for the last year, because in the last year I have, and you're now writing about the things you've done. I have achieved what? In my personal cash flow, I'm now generating this much compared to what I was generating a year ago. Be very, very specific about exactly what the number is that you see there. Be very specific about even like what you thought happened in order to make that happen. You say, it changed because I suddenly switched jobs, or I got a pay raise, or I got a new stream of revenues coming in from my business, or I launched a new product. But if you start getting more specific, and it's all about the what, and it's all about the when. This happened in this particular time. By actually just visioning it out from the future, you can see how it happened in a way that at the moment it may not even seem possible. So you're writing down what's happened, how it's happened. You're looking at this in such a way that if you were actually to read this out to people you loved around you in a way to say, here's my commitment to what's happening next year, this is not a fantasy. You're not trying to be a multimillionaire overnight. It's about actually putting down something which you know will stretch you, but still it inspires you and excites you. What's going on with your time now? What's going on your perfect day at the moment? What's happening with your identity in terms of what you're known for? What is it that people are being attracted to you for? What are you doing that's unique within your market or within your job that is the reason that people are coming to you? And how did you get to that way within the last year? Write all of that out in such a way that you can actually see that pathway and it inspires you, and you know that today you can be making that commitment to that future self, that this is the path you want to be on. Go through the same with your job, your business. I've given different prompts here, but you can add all different aspects to it as well. And the most important thing is to go free flow through this and then check back in on this video to see if there's other bits that you might be missing. Go for your mentors, the people who are going to support you on the journey, because of course you're not going to get there on your own. Go for your team, the kind of people that will show up, what kind of people they will be, who even those people are, because they might be actually in your team right now, or they might be people you're thinking of working with. Think about your customers. What kind of customers would you have that would be the people you'd love to be working with every day? What about your partners? The same thing. What about your health? What's going on with your health now? What's different from what it is today in terms of your relationship with your own body, with your stress levels, with your time out? What are you doing with family and friends? What's happening with your passions and with your pastimes? What are they now doing with you in terms of your friends, your family, and how they're experiencing your life and what you've been able to actually give back to them as a result of what you're achieving over this year? Your contribution. Who do you give to? At the end of the day, there's a limit to what we can get. There's no limit to what we can give. So how has that brought meaning to your life? And also what you're looking forward to in the year ahead. If you take the time to actually go through that and you fill that out, and you get to a point where you feel, I've completed my first step of doing this, ask yourself the question, how much on a 0 to 10 scale does this inspire me? And if it's not at a 10 yet, ask yourself, what extra can I add into this in such a way that you actually keep adding until you go, wow, if that's my year in the year ahead, that would be a big tick box where I'd say, definitely, that's worth going for. That becomes your dream destination. That's where your flight path is going to be leading you to. And it's one that when you start sharing it with those around you, and they can then be of support to you as well, you now are no longer doing it on your own, but you're doing it with those around you too. This becomes such an important vision that you'll find yourself as we go further into our missions, especially when we get up to yellow-green level, it becomes as essential for you to do with your business and with your team, so they're all involved in this as well. Okay, let's go on to the next step, because if you actually take that and you go through that process, you can pause here, go do that, and then come back to this video. But let's imagine that you've done it, and maybe you have now, right? Congratulations. Let's go on to the next part, which is A4, which is I have shared my future vision with my mentor, family, and close friends who are part of my vision and who will help me achieve it. So it's one thing to write it, but if it's just hidden, it's not going to get you anywhere. So you can see here, if you haven't yet gone out and shared it, you see here that I'm actually going through the steps of what to do at this point in terms of who you want to share it with. Share it with your mentor if you have your mentor, someone you're going to be working with. We have people that can help you with that as well. With your family, with close friends. So write down who is the mentor you're going to share this with, someone that actually has some level of experience that you can be working with. Who are the family members that you're sharing this with? And who are the friends that you're also sharing it with? And go share with them now, and then you come back once that's done. So this is not something to be done later, it's something to be done while you're actually in this mission. And finally, A5, I have my future vision posted, where it is visible to inspire me daily, and I check on it daily. Kind of interesting, isn't it? That we actually tend to check on our present self every single day when we look in the mirror. It's like, yep, there I am. Well, imagine this now being like a second mirror, but this is now a mirror into your future, where every day you look at that and go, yep, that's where I'm going to be. And the more you see that, and that draws you towards it, just like that pilot who has a destination that they keep on checking in, am I on path to go to my destination? Does not matter how much the wind blows them off course on a moment-by-moment basis, they'll keep on getting themselves back on course again, and they'll always end up where they promise they're going to be. And that's exactly what my wish for you will be as well. Follow through the next steps, and you're going to find suddenly that through the steps that lead us up the lighthouse, this is no longer just some kind of a dream. This is something that is going to be a plan that takes you to where you want to go.